And welcome to another exciting episode of The Energy That Surrounds Us, Season 3. I am excited to bring you all a wonderful guest tonight who I have been talking with, and I just cannot wait to share all that she does with you all. So I'm going to turn it over to the one, the only, incredible, amazing Ann Basili.
Thank you so much, Michael. This is beautiful. I really appreciate the invitation to come on your show and chat. So good morning from Western Australia. This is where I am, everybody. Good evening to whoever's on the other side of the world. It's a wonderful opportunity to be able to cross the time zones, timelines. The future looks bright, by the way, on this side. So, yeah, the beautiful days coming ahead for you guys. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being a guest. And I have another friend that's in, I think, around Perth, Australia. And we always would tease her that she's in the future. So, any tidbits she could share with us for the future, because you guys are so far ahead of us.
Absolutely. Well, we're ahead, yeah. And the day's good. The day's beautiful. It's coming.
Well, good. That is a great way to start the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for those who may not be familiar with you for some odd reason, because wow, could you give a little bit of background about yourself?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, at- okay, let me start with the what I'm doing work-wise, because I think that'll give some intro, because I think if I start from the beginning story, we could be here all day. So I'm just going to tell everybody what I do, and I guess that will lead into some more maybe questions about where to go from here. So I'm a level 3 quantum healing hypnosis practitioner, and that was created by Dolores Cannon. So anyone who's a Dolores Cannon fan and is looking for some type of regression, I highly encourage it. So my work is based on regression and also accessing the high self-consciousness or expanded consciousness so people can find information that helps them to heal in this lifetime. Part of my other work is doing distance or remote healing, and I do that through Theta Healing, which I've been doing for about 20 years. So that's usually me going and connecting with your high self and me accessing all the information that you require and helping you on your healing journey. I was a counsellor and background in sort of social work, very clinical mental health many years ago. I think by about 2007, so 10 years in, I realized that that was not the world for me. I know there's many beautiful souls out there working in the mental health system, and I take my hat off to you because it's an amazing field. However, me personally, it didn't quite give me the opportunity that I believed people could heal in a much more expansive way. And then my journey began, I think, towards healing in 2008. And so this has led me all the way through many different twists and turns to where I am today. My world is very expansive. I do live in a very alternate reality. I think more people are living this reality now. I think I was it felt very extraordinary for quite a few years. But now it's normal. It's my normal. And I know other people are starting to feel this is their normal as well. And now we're expanding our universe to include not just our spirit world, but also our beautiful intergalactic family as well that are going to start coming online with us in the very near future, I feel, if not already. So that's a very brief introduction of my story, basically around the work that I do.
Wow, thank you. And my first question is going to be around what was your aha moment that got you started to doing like theta healing and the QHHT?
Yeah, okay. So this is when I began the theta healing work, or it was, I was only really exploring my own personal psychic abilities. I didn't really know. I knew I had them because I'd been brought up with those. I didn't know how to use them or channel them in a way that was effective. So that was about 20 years ago, but that always stayed as a separate private thing. I never really spoke about it. I was just living a normal life and doing these kind of things on the side with friends and family. If someone came to me and said, I have a spirit in my house, well, I could go and have a chat to that spirit and move it on. It's not the kind of field I work in regularly, but, I'm comfortable. What I found with that type of work was that it helped me expand my own awareness and consciousness and psychic abilities. And once I broke out of the limitation of that, because everything has a structure, so I learned to break out of that structure and expand myself. And then I started to, communicate with a higher source, and that was guidance for me to keep going and learning more and more. And it probably wouldn't have been until about 2013 I went through a very, very traumatic time in my life. The past has a really good way of catching up to you at some point, even if you think you've done all the work with that. So my undoing or unraveling, if you want to call it that, was in around 2013 to 2014. Now, during that period of time, I had no idea the life I was going to be living after that. I wanted a conventional life. I went to work. I had a partner. I had a child. I had a house that I bought and I built, and it was beautiful and amazing. And I wanted that life. But the universe had another plan for me, and that was not the life I was going to have. So it took that life away from me overnight. And within a month, I was out of work. I had no partner. My daughter walked out of me because she was angry about something, and I was a mess because suddenly I realized that all these things in my life were coming to a head. This was my aha moment, but I didn't realize that was going to be the aha moment until the following year when I left the city and moved to the country. Now, in that period of time, I started to heal myself, and not just this, I'm healing. And I did a lot of work. I did a lot of reading and research. Dolores Cannon's books came into my life in a really strong way because it was what I was needing, was something more expansive, not just self-help books. I had done every self-help book I think there was out there at the time. I've done all those journeys. They weren't doing anything for me. Once I started looking beyond beyond the three-dimensional scope and working with the psychological aspects of ourselves and moving to the spiritual and higher consciousness, that's when that aha moment began to kick in. And I think that was the 2012 beginning. And then by 2014, 15, I was starting to wake up to that. And it would still be another couple of years before I felt embodied again. And it's hard to explain that when you go through a complete undoing or an unraveling. I call it the nothing, the unbecoming, the nothing, the void, and you don't really have an identity. So to create a new identity, that takes time, and you have to kind of put new pieces together that are more aligned with yourself. But the beauty of that was that I actually worked out what I was and who I was and what I wanted. And part of that was some of these memories that started to show up at that time as well. From my childhood, not talking the trauma stuff because I'd working through that, but I'm talking unusual memories, not just spiritual connections, but some memories that were related to beings that were not, human, were not spiritual, like spirits, crossed over spirits, so high dimensional. And that started to come more and more into my life, but it would still take quite a few years to make sense out of what that journey was about. And through my own spiritual journey and evolving organically. So by the time I went back to working for myself, I realized I couldn't work for anybody else. In my new phase, I began to be led or guided to do things differently. And that's when I felt really like I'd come into myself. So it took me till I was 45. Let's just be honest. I'm not a spring chicken. I was a bit of a slow learner. And I think by 45, things just fell into place and I lived the most amazing life. I did a lot of surrendering, and it's hard for people to get their head around what that means. But when I'm literally being chauffeur driven around by the universe, and I get into the back seat and it says, hey, what about this? Do you want to try this? And I go, yeah, I want to try this. And so off I go. So I'm exploring and experimenting, and I'm offering so much more to humanity in this way. And I was always service to humanity from a child, but this is the stuff, this spiritual work that I do with the healing, quantum healing hypnosis, and the theta healing is really it's my thing. It's my thing now, so I feel really good. Yeah.
It's interesting you point out that it was at 45 that you had this happen, because for me, when I turned 45 was when I really started doing my service to humanity, and that was bringing out these shows and finding out about stuff about myself that I had no idea about. So it's kind of
Mm-hmm.
interesting how both of us were, you could say, late to the party, but divinely at the right time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I call it clearing the karma, because I think when you're doing this work, I know for myself anyway, I speak for myself, but I know people will understand and resonate anyway. It's like clearing the baggage, clearing the karmic debts away, and then coming to a place where you can embody a higher energetic frequency to be able to do the service to others in a different way, in a higher way, a much more impactful way. That's how I feel anyway. And I think 45 for me was, I had no more responsibilities. I had no one asking for my attention anymore. So I had time, and that just happened to align with the number 45. And someone did say, I think that's a significant number for people. So there you go.
Well, numerology, you would say 45 is a 9, which is completion.
Exactly. Exactly. The ending to the beginning. Absolutely. Yeah.
So, an interesting question I have for you, and I'm sure some of the people listening may be curious about as well, is when you're talking with someone, how would you describe the difference, if there is any, between theta healing and quantum healing?
Okay. So with the quantum healing hypnosis, let's just say I'm your guide for the day. I'm helping you as the client to go through your own journey. So you'll come and we'll talk together for a while. And in the hypnosis and the regression, your high self is taking you where it needs to go. So I'm not instructing you other than asking you questions along the way. It's non-directive. So it's kind of quite empowering, but it's a great bridge for people who don't necessarily want to learn how to heal themselves on their own or aren't ready for that. So it's a really nice opportunity for someone to come and do this work, but I don't really have to do the work, but they are, if you know what I mean. So they have someone there guiding them along. And the regression process is really gentle. The accessing the higher self is always wonderful for people. It is us. It's not a stranger coming in through us like a channel, although sometimes that can happen. But generally it's us. It's our higher access self. When I'm doing the theta healing, so it's me accessing your high self and doing the work for you. So that means that I go into the theta state, or a deep state of trance, and then I will go to source first and connect there. And then I will come to you with your permission and come to you like through we make a contract or a bond, and I then go through your body, for instance, and do your body scan. I'll check all your what's happening with your body. I'll check your DNA work. I'll check any ancestral records or genetic things that are happening. So it's very thorough, and I've been doing it for so long I can do it quite quickly. I can talk with your ancestors if they want to come through. So generally what I'm doing is what maybe the quantum healing hypnosis is doing, but I'm doing that on your behalf, because it's sometimes not practical for people to fly to Australia, for instance, and have a session with me in person, which is what quantum healing requires. I would say quantum healing hypnosis is more thorough and more in-depth, because we do the whole life story. Theta healing, it's what's happening now, whatever's in the present that's troubling you, I will try and access as much information as possible. And sometimes that does involve obviously other beings that will come and connect through for that person as well. So that in a nutshell is probably the easiest way to explain that. If there's anything that you want to ask me about that, please do, or clarity on anything.
Okay, well, thank you. And I want to, for a moment, address something about your bio that really stuck out to me and I thought was really cool. And so I want to give you a chance to speak about that. And that is that you're the creator and teacher of a metaphysical healing meditations.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for asking about that. As about 2019, I got very unwell, and it was an overnight thing. There wasn't any precursor to it. I just woke up and I literally couldn't walk. It was one leg was very inflamed, and within a few weeks, the second leg. So I couldn't, I couldn't actually walk at all. It was a mystery. So I went to the doctor. I don't have a doctor. So for me personally, I don't have a doctor. I haven't had one for years. But I went because I was curious. How could this be? How could I wake up and suddenly not be able to walk and be in so much agony and pain? What could have been this precursor? And of course, the doctors went through a whole series of different tests to find out what was going on. And of course, they couldn't really work anything out. So it was all trial and error. And the outcome of that was that it was some type of autoimmune thing that had kicked in. So overnight, it had kicked into high gear. And the long-term prognosis was not looking that positive. So there was a lot of medical suggestions that would be long-term chemical, treatment. So I thanked the doctor, and I had this feeling of like, no, I don't want to go down that path. I'm going to do this myself. So I actually said to the doctor, well, thank you for your information. I'm going to heal myself, and I'll see you later. And she kind of stopped, and I kind of caught myself, and I went, oh, you've put your foot in it now. You really have to show up and do this. Like, you've just voiced this out loud, and now you've got to prove it. So I went away, and over a period of 7 months, I began to meditate. And originally it started off with the Theta Healing, but I began meditating every morning around 4 a.m. because the pain was so intense. And I really couldn't move by the 6 weeks in, and I was on crutches, so it was very painful. So I would meditate to heal the pain so that I could at least face my day. But during this process, I began a direct communication with Source. And Source was directing me. I say instruction because it really was, here's the instruction, and then you go and you try it out and see how you go. And then you ask for the next bit. So I had this dialogue going. And after the 7 months and I healed myself without any intervention, I was so excited because I realized that I had been given this instruction manual on how to heal your body and through my communications. So that became the Metaphysical Healing Meditations. I still haven't worked out a better name, but this is the one that seems to stay. And then I put that into a program. And then I wrote the book about it in 2023. Blessings. 2023, I wrote and published the book on it that includes the actual guided meditations and step-by-step what I got downloaded through Source, how to help me to help others. Because the mission was you heal yourself and then you will go out into the world and put that information out. So it's public and it's for everybody. So that was the process. And so I worked very hard to bring that information out into the world so that everybody could have that. I do them online as well as a one-on-one or small groups. So people can practice alongside while I'm directing or directing with the meditation, and they get to experience that. So they're also using their psychic abilities. You're expanding the use of your psychic abilities, your visualization abilities. And also it's about trusting what you're seeing and trusting what you're noticing in your body, for instance, and, receiving messages. It's very, very important to connect with the body and find out, because everything's got a message. for me, my message in my body was telling me that I had unhealed trauma. Hello, we all do. Unhealed trauma from my childhood. I had to do a lot of forgiveness. And even though I thought I had forgiven a lot of people, they were still trapped. And my knees or my legs were carrying that energy still. So autoimmune, I talk about inflammation. I talk about self-attack as well, or it's a self thing. So no self-love. So that's another part of this healing was about self-love. So everything that I learned, I put into this book and into the program so that others could learn it. And it's very, very clear. There's like 9 steps to the complete healing. So every step has a layer for you to attend to. And that includes forgiveness. That includes doing the body work, the body scan, how to look into your own body and see the parts that flash up, how they flash up and signal to you that there's something wrong, how to apply a healing light to those things, how to talk to your DNA. Now that's a really amazing experience. You can talk to your DNA. They tell you things. It's pretty amazing. And how to help them come back online, as well as you're switching off markers. We all have genetic markers that are switched on and off that maybe trigger a certain experience or genetic experience. However, not all of them are switched on. So sometimes people think, well, my mother had cancer, therefore I'm going to have cancer. So they'll go and have preventative treatment, but that marker may not have been switched on. But the thing is, you can actually go and talk to your markers and switch them off so that they won't. So your belief systems can either switch the markers on or switch them off. So there's a lot of self-power that you can have through the experience. And that was what I discovered. And I think I had to have the experience myself to prove to myself. I was a scientific experiment for myself to say, this is true. This is actually happening. There's integrity in this, and I'm witnessing this for myself, so that when I speak to others about it, I'm not coming from a third party or a fourth party. I'm coming from my own experience. So then that way it has a much more valuable resonance with that, I feel.
So I have a couple questions, but before I get to that, I want to ask, because you talk about talking with your DNA and having this internal dialogue. When I had injured my leg, I was in uh, Spain on a cruise ship,
Mm-hmm.
and I had slipped and fell on my leg, which I wasn't supposed to do. So I go back on the ship, and I'm laying there, and this booming voice starts having this dialogue with me, like asking me who I am, what am I, and this whole healing starts to unfold. My question to you is like, is that what it was like for you, and was that my DNA talking, or higher self, or somebody directing me, like your experience?
Do you know, I mean, my automatic response to that, or my automatic feeling, was that was a source contact. Source was coming in saying, come on, let's talk. We've got something to talk about, and we need to get you healed. For me, it wasn't a loud voice out, so it was definitely within me. That was the talking was really obvious that it wasn't, that it was something else, and it was something far greater or more prominent than what I call God. I think it was bigger, but it was very instructive and insightful. I think people can tap into guides, and they may have been, another thing. I think your high self is generally connected to source, so that would be the information that I like to put that into people, to say that was you, and that was your high self or higher consciousness tapping in with source, and you were having the dialogue together.
Okay, cool, because that's what I thought. And so my question for you is, one of them is, when you talk about doing these visualizations and doing the body scan and everything, was that something that was taught to you how to do that, or did they just like pull up an image and you saw it and you're like, oh, I can do this? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So my training, let's say my original training for that would have been the theta healing, because that was where I would have begun my actual training to work out that I could do these things for myself. And then I expanded and evolved out of that. So my first experience of doing a body scan would have been there, but I have seen many different modalities and ancient modalities that are able to do that as well with the body scan. It's just a way to understand how to look at your body and ask for the parts of your body to flash a signal, or to, so you can understand what the message is through heat or through light or through sound, or maybe some people get a nudge on their shoulder or something else. So it's a communication process. When I was doing it for myself with the actual healing, I was being directed differently to really tune in, and that was not something I had really developed. So that skill wasn't as highly developed. I was still an amateur, I think, really, compared to what I learned through the healing, my self-healing experience with Source. Definitely was more expansive. And the other thing, as I say to people when I teach them, if you can't see your body from the inside, you can see it from the outside. You can imagine that you're looking at a poster, an anatomy poster, and you can go through that. And you don't even have to know the actual parts of your body, like every single part. You know the area, so you get an impression, and you can still work with impressions. Whereas with the theta healing, always, if I didn't get it right, I wouldn't get the healing done, and so I felt really restricted. Once I threw that away, and then I was able to step more fully into my own power and knowledge with this guidance, just trusting, that's when I realized, oh, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you look at your body from the inside or the outside. It doesn't matter if you can't see that part of your body, but you can have an impression of it or hear something. So that was the expansive process that I went through when I was doing my own healing, that it didn't matter if I couldn't actually see myself from the inside of my body. But the body scan, and we do that in the QHHT as well. Clients will be asked for the high self to do a body scan, and they can do it. They do it even if they've never done it before. The high self can do it.
Very cool. And
it's very cool. It's very cool. We are so magical. Sorry, Michael. We are so magical. It blows me away. It really blows me away that how much we can do. It's honestly, can bring tears to your eyes, the magic.
I agree. And doing Reiki, I remember doing the body scan and loving how it's energy. So you're not sitting there going, okay, so this is the muscle that's going to this muscle. It's like,
Correct.
nope, don't need all that. You just
You don't need
look
it.
at the energy. Where the energy's off, that's where you focus.
Absolutely. 100%. Exactly. It's just an interpretation and an impression. You feel it. You know it. You know your body. Your body will tell you, stop here. There's something going on, and you'll stop there, and you'll automatically get the message. It's a stomach, or it's a pancreas, or something. And that's what you have to trust. Whatever that word is, or whatever whatever information, trust that. Don't question it, because it's really your high self is telling you and speaking to you. And your body is the messenger as well. It's beautiful.
Right. And my second question is kind of more of a, you've probably never been asked this, and
Oh God, here
I'm
we go.
like, my mind is curious. Is you mentioned going to the doctor and telling her you were going to heal yourself. So when you went back to her, did she say you did it? You healed yourself, or how did that conversation unfold?
Well, you would think she would be really excited for me, but it was. I remember going to see, because I'd actually made a deal with her. I'd said to her in October, because she was going overseas. Now this doctor was like worked for the Olympics, like she was right up there. So it wasn't that she was, just someone in the backyard doing, some MD stuff. She was pretty high up there, and I had made a deal with her. I said to her, I will see you when you come back from being over in the Winter Olympics, I think it was, in October. And so that was sort of June, July. And I said, I'll be walking. And so when she came back, I made an appointment to see her, and I was off crutches. I was still a little bit, wobbly, but I walked into her office and she said, wow, that's great. And that was it. That was the end of the conversation. Not how did you do it? Did you go to see the special? I think she even asked me if I saw the specialist, and I actually did. I went to the specialist just to see if he had something to say to me, and he just said, good on you. good on you. So yes, she was not keen to develop the conversation or to inquire, which was disappointing for me because I really wanted to share more with her and help her maybe. But there you go. So yes, it wasn't a great moment, but I felt good.
I think it was a great moment because you did what you said you were going to do, and you showed the body can do it.
I did. Yeah. And I think because I put the pressure on myself by saying, I'm going to do this, I really had to measure up and step up. But in saying that, I think when you commit to yourself, truly commit to yourself and commit to your body, then that's the magic, because you are making that commitment. I talk about making the commitment to the body because a lot of people reject the physical form or the physical vessel. And in actual fact, we need to join with it so that it becomes our universe, where the God universe is us, and our body protects us in so many amazing ways. So the commitment to the physical is actually saying, I'm here for you and I'm going to take care of you like a mother is to a child. Once the body hears that and the true sincerity of that being said to it, it suddenly wants to it wants to be there for you. It wants to be whatever it is that you want it to be. So we are so powerful with the way we speak to our body that if we reject it, it will assume that we're not interested in it. If we tell it it's amazing and we praise it and we love it and we nurture it and say, I'm committed to you, it wants to be there for you, and it will do everything it possibly can and show miracles just to align with your love for it. So, because it has love for you. And that was another pretty amazing, eye-opening aha moment for me, was the commitment to the physical body. Very important in healing.
That is something I have to look at because I'm one of those. I am very guilty of saying it's either like a shell or a meat suit that my
Mm.
spirit just uses to exist here.
Yeah, it's a very common thing these days. And I think I'm not bagging anybody because I had to learn this for myself too. I think when we evolve spiritually, we tend to diss the physical form and we don't like it, or we want to separate out and think, gosh, I don't need this form. When you connect to it and understand it is also the contact between the earth, the 1D, the first dimension that comes through you, like we're part of her creation as well. So we also need to honor that, because that's what our body is actually being, a connection to the earth, and we're part of that experience here. We opted to come in and have the experience, and so we're part of that. So honoring the physical form is actually a really important aspect of our spiritual growth as well, because it connects us back to the earth in a deeper way as well, energetically. I hope that makes sense. Again, so many things started to come to me when I was doing this healing. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I never knew that we were, like, our physical was part of the creation of earth. So it's a very important aspect of us that we need to just give it a little bit more love. So yeah.
Right. And it does make sense. And for
Oops.
me, I think the problem is we hear ascension and we think of moving on to the next dimension, and religion teaches what's here on the earth you can't take with you to the next journey. And so everyone thinks, oh, well, whatever is here stays here. So it's just temporarily being used while I go here. And so that may be where we need to stop and go, wait a minute. The body can go with us, it doesn't have to stay here.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think what we're realizing is the body's having its own upgrade as well. Like, we're all going through upgrades automatically at the moment with our ascension. We're all moving in that direction. Our bodies take a little bit longer to catch up, but it is catching up. And so it is going through its own upgrades. And I'm sure people have heard of the crystalline matrix and the silicate matrix and all of that, which is, a higher aspect or a higher format for our physical form. So it is evolving as well, which is a really beautiful experience. And so we may not see in our personal lifetimes that change, or we may not notice it as obvious as maybe some future generations will see that shift. I've been fortunate to be able to see the future. I've done a future regression, a future progression, and I've seen how our bodies transform in the future, and we become more elongated, and we become, less reliant on physical food, and we become lighter, actually lighter, like more transparent in our body. So our body is still working to catch up with our consciousness and our spirituality and our ascension. It's just a little bit, it takes a lot more time. It just takes time. So, and it's a big energy that's shifting into our bodies at the moment, a really big energy.
It is. And actually, I'm not sure how to pronounce this name, but Kitla Hale. If I have it pronounced right, cool. If not, I apologize. She or he mentions, I keep hearing this is a hologram. I don't know what to believe. And that's true. Is we're being told we're in a simulation or holographic universe.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel that relates, or is that just a program that we're being told that's not really what's
You know,
going on?
Michael, this is the thing. I think we get so much conflicting information that sometimes we feel it can't join. For me personally, because I always come back to, well, I'm here right now. My process in this life, or my mission, is to evolve, yes, and to also deliver the best way I can to others, the best way I can, and I have to do that in this physical format at this time. So I love the idea that we're in a hologram. I love the idea that we're breaking out of the matrix and all of that. I love that, but I also know that there's a actual physical part of us as well that is doing the 3D thing. We're learning things here. So whether we're doing it in a matrix format or a hologram format, it's I think it would be foolish for us to dismiss that our reality is happening as we are evolving, and we are open to transforming and understanding that as we grow, and things will change, and we'll look back and go, wow, that reality doesn't exist anymore for me. I'm in a different reality or a different experience of that. I think it's going to continually evolve, and I think our understanding is going to evolve around what this hologram, and we're living in a hologram. As I said, for me personally, I always come back and I go, where am I right now? And I'm here, and I want to do the best I can in the time that I have in this lifetime. And so I don't tend to worry too much about things that cause me confusion, because it creates distress. And when you create distress or disharmony in your mind or in your body, which translates into the body, then you're already out of sync, and then you're already not able to navigate your way through this experience. So my advice is, anything that causes you confusion, put it to the side and go, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's a concept. And we are really good at creating concepts around things that sometimes don't have a concept. They just are. So just keep moving through that. Don't get caught in the limitation of trying to get a conceptual idea of something. Just move through it. Keep breaking through that. That's expansion. That's always moving up. As far as that's what I feel. And others may have a different idea around that, and I'm really good at hearing those things. I just had to find a way to understand that for myself, and still exist here right now.
Right, that's beautiful how you explained it, and it actually raised a question in me that kind of sidesteps to another part of your bio that I found interesting. But that is but what I'm going to ask first is, you're doing the quantum healing hypnosis and theta healing sessions. Have you ever come across like star seeds or hybrids or ETs doing this work, and are those sessions different than what we would call the human mortal or normie type person?
I love the question because thank you. When people come and they have the experience of being a starseed, so when we talk about starseeds, I'll just give my explanation of what that is, or definition, but it's probably changed now. They're the ones that came directly into this incarnation from another place in the universe, or that was their main home, their main soul home is there. They have most of their incarnations in this other place. However, they've come to Earth on the mission. It's the call. The SOS went out and the call was, please come and help us. Earth said, please come and help me by helping humanity. So they came to the Earth to do this work. So they're incarnated into a human physic, but their soul matrix is part of a different group. So that's the original Cedar idea that I understand, star seed group that I understand. It's become everyone's a star seed because really we've all got DNA that's been fiddled around with 22 other species. So we're kind of all a star seed group now. But yes, I do get clients that come, and sometimes they are very different. The whole aim of everything, no matter what people come with or experience, is the healing in this lifetime. So it's always about, it's always about what's happening in their life right now. So even if they're having an extraterrestrial past, or they're coming from this other, planet and coming to Earth to do this work here, often a starseed or someone who's come from another place really struggles on the Earth plane because it's very, very challenging here. The love is really hard to get. I'm going to say we because I'm part of that. We have a different love system that is open, it's unconditional. So we struggle on Earth to understand the limitation here. And the density is very, very hard. So a lot of these individuals will want to check out because they can't relate. So it's very traumatic, but they don't understand why they're having so much trauma. Why can't I relate to people? Why don't I feel like I belong? So when they understand that they're from another place, so they have that experience, go, oh, my home is here, or I'm from a different planet, or I've come, they've all been told, you've come here to help humanity, but you have to heal yourself first and remember who you are. You're always bigger. And it doesn't matter if someone comes and they're from a different planet or we're all higher aspect beings. We're all higher aspect from source. That's the biggest message, is everyone needs to remember that, so that we can accept that we're here for a reason. And the purpose usually is revealed. You're here to help heal humanity. You're here to help heal the Earth. You're here to help heal yourself also, and, transmute that energy so that it goes out into the world. And because of that, traumatic experience, your empathy is greater and your compassion is greater. So you can work better with humans because of that experience. So whether they've had the extraterrestrial experience or not, they all tend to somehow evolve to the same point: heal yourself, heal others, heal the Earth. It's the same message. It's the same mission. We're all here to do the same thing. If people are in contact, like, that's something that will come through for them. If they have a suspicion that they're in contact with other beings, we can find out, who are you connected with, who's coming to see you, what's that, that thing in your finger that you feel is an implant. What's that for? So we can find out that information through the quantum healing hypnosis. And I have had people come with implants in their body. I had a lady with an X-ray, and there was 3 little rods in her finger, and we found out she's part of the inner Earth group, a very, very advanced race of inner beings, but they have lost emotion. So she's on the Earth learning emotion. Now, she's had every emotion in her lifetime, very traumatic, but they're wanting to understand human emotion. So her role is to feed that information back to them and have the Earth experience. So everything is so valuable. And to me, finding that information out is so intensely valuable to that human being. It can change everything in an instant for that person, from feeling like a nobody to feeling like somebody who actually has a purpose on Earth, because we all have a purpose here.
I agree. And one of the things I love that you stated, that I'm going to state again because I feel is so important, because it goes against everything we've been taught. Is you have to take care of yourself to
Mhm.
take care of others to
Correct.
do what you need to do, what you came here to do.
Ab-
Because I was always taught, or through society learned, taking care of yourself was selfish. You should
Mhm.
put others first.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to learn no, I had to put myself first to then be of service to others
Mhm.
to complete the mission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can only work so far with others from the place that you're at. And the best places to work with others is when you're in your best place, when you're in your most, fully embodied place, is the place to work from. And so, yes, you have to be a little self-centered in that to work through those things so that you look after yourself. And of course, when we're working with people, it's the energy exchange. So we have to be in a place where we can look after ourselves so we can be available to the next person we meet, or the next person who comes, for instance, to see me. I have to make sure that I have time for me to recover and recoup between, so that I'm not transferring last person's energy into the next person as well. So I'm very conscious of that. So that's my responsibility. And everyone has a responsibility in that way as well.
Right, and I respect that and I agree. And Kitzla Hale has a question that kind of goes along with where, how I said I was leading to another
Mm-hmm.
interesting part of your bio, and that is your ambassador of Sirius, if I'm remembering correctly,
Mm-hmm.
and diplomatic affairs with the extraterrestrials. And Kitzla Hale is asking, why do we need to come here to help in the first place? What went wrong?
No, yeah, what went wrong? So much went wrong. So much went wrong. If we were to go back, and look, I think there's some amazing information out there with the Anunnakis and how they fiddled with us and how they turned us into slaves. And I don't want to go down that route today because that's a whole other thing. And I'm not an expert in that field, but I have the knowledge about it, which has helped me navigate my own world and understanding. But what I'm going to say is there was a lot of tampering and a lot of messing with the human race and the human population. And there were a couple of uh, extraterrestrial races that were interested in our resources. And some were interested in us personally as well for their own gain. But what I'm also going to say is there was an invitation by our own species, so by humans here, also to invite these beings to participate, because there was a exchange. I will give you this if you give us that. So it almost allowed for the non-interference to be breached by these beings. So I always feel it's a two-way thing. There were people here that were also very interested in having that information from those beings, like a technology, for instance, and who were using that against us. So I think there's humans and extraterrestrials that are going against humanity. But in saying that, I try not to get caught in that trap as well, that psychological trap, because then it makes us feel powerless and helpless. And we really need to know that we can actually break out of that so that we're freer. So what I want to say is that, yes, things did go wrong and it wasn't meant to be this way, but we are now able to work that out. We're so able to see things for what they are. And this is why that 2012 was very important, because it started to bring people online who were going to help bring that information forward in different ways. They were a bridge between the old world and the new world, that old information and the new information, and to help people cross that bridge. So some of us came online a bit earlier, some of us are still coming online, but we are moving in that direction and we're starting to see what's happening. So please take the power back and know that you have the power to change this, but you have to do you first. That's the only thing. Heal yourself first, because then you have no one can control you and no one can make you fearful, because you're beyond that. So it's very important.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if you can answer or not.
Mhm.
but when you mention diplomatic affairs between ETs and humankind and being, an ambassador, is there any information that you're getting that you can share with the audience of what's going on right now that
Yeah.
maybe could bring some hope?
Definitely. This information really started to trickle in around 2015 for me. So around the same time that I was waking up, and my memories of my past started to come through. And I had a couple of very interesting healing experiences with some other people, not QHHT. And they were saying to me, there's a Sirius connection. You're here to do big things. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? Like, I don't even know what the Sirius is. So one day I did my own healing and I did a connection, and I suddenly got all this information about Sirius and the Sirius ambassador. But it would take me years again till I actually had my own verification through my own hypnosis, that information was verified, and then they would say yes. So I came from the Sirius group. Okay, and I came to Earth on the mission to help the Earth. But through helping the Earth, it was to help humanity, because by lifting humanity, we help the Earth. So my mission is for the Earth. But it's also, when I was in that life, before I came here, my role was to connect different beings or species together, to bring them together in a diplomatic way so that they can discuss things. I didn't work for anybody. I was an independent, that people would come to me and say, we would like to have, a contact with these people, this species. Can you arrange that? And then I would go and bridge those meetings. Now, this is where it starts to get really kind of out there, and people might think, oh yeah, she's talking. I started having contacts on Earth through the astral, out-of-body experiences, where I would go and I'd have these meetings with certain delegates on the Earth. So we're talking presidents, we're talking queens, and I couldn't work out what this was. Again, I had to wait for that information to come through in my hypnosis sessions. So that was then verified that I'm still doing that role here, bringing information, connecting with these people, encouraging them to be better people, to think better, to think about humanity. It was always an encouragement role in connecting these people. So I've only really started to understand that my role on the Earth is continuing as in that ambassadorial role, and to try and now teach people how to have a stance like this. It's only just started this year, really, or the end of last year, is to understand the diplomacy between extraterrestrials and humans, and how maybe in the future we can have those relationships. And it's always about being heart-centered. It's always about being not coming from a place of fear, not coming from a place of they're different from us, or putting them on a pedestal, that type of thing. That's very important with those kind of diplomatic affairs. So I'm trying in a gentle way to bring my role into something that's useful for humanity going forward. And this is very new for me. I was instructed to do this only in December, to start to show how this can happen. I have had conferences, galactic conferences, if you want to call that. I think the biggest one was in 2020, and there was the 21st of December 2020 was when I was taken off. To be honest, it wasn't off planet where I had the experience, but then I was taken off planet. So there was a big delegation, a meeting. This is many beings from all over. There was also many beings from the Earth coming in their black cars. Now, I didn't understand that at the time. It's only come through clearer as I've gone. Many different craft. This was a massive thing. I was a speaker at this particular conference. And my role was to speak about how humans are evolving and how the Earth is coping and what's going on. So my role is to report back. So they always ask for that information. And that information is constantly being uploaded. And I'm always being taken to have those discussions, or that information translated to them. So that's still happening. I'm still learning a lot about what that is, how that is in my life, but I'm understanding it better as I've gotten older. And I think they had to wait for that information to come through for me to be ready to receive the information about who I was and what I'm doing here. And at the same time, I don't like to wear that as a label, because I think it takes away from me as a person, just me. I'm just another human that's doing my thing. So yes, but I did out myself recently to say that that's what my role was. So, so any other Sirians? Hello. But yes, hello everybody. We love you all.
No, I love that because it's a beautiful way to bring it about and to be able to understand it. And we're actually getting close to the hour. And
Mhm.
so there's a couple questions still coming in the chat room. Do you have time for some more questions or do you need to run?
No, I don't. I'm fine. I'm happy. I was going to say that just the hopeful stuff, because I forgot to mention that there is some really beautiful things coming. I just so that people don't feel afraid of what's happening now. This has to happen. Try not to get too disheartened by what you're seeing. If we're going to talk holograms and matrices and that, this is just another way to keep you fearful and less. We need you to keep up high and just continue that process of overriding that fear or that worry, or that they're going to come and get us, or they're going to put this in our bodies or whatever. Try to override that. Keep that energy up higher. You have no idea the power that you have for yourself to protect yourself when you're doing that. And there are beings, oh my goodness, there are beings out there right now that are watching us. They can't interfere. This is the truth. They cannot interfere, but they are helping through people like me, through people like Michael sharing information, through everybody in some way or another to bring that information forward. And there is a transmission that's going out today. I have to tell you, there's a transmission that's coming out from me today. It was given to me on Sunday, the 10th. I don't know when that day was. And it's called a Trinity activator. It's going to go out. It is already going out energetically for everybody. It is helping you all reunite the masculine and the feminine, the fire and the water. This is what we're seeing now, the fire destruction, the water destruction. And it will be coming together with the divine being union, which is a diamond light. This is our new matrix. So I've got mine activated, you'll have yours. It's going out into the world, and it will be like a transmission that's going to keep on going. So that's my gift to you. I'm putting that out there from the left hand, because that's what I was told. Put it out on the left hand, it's going to transmit. So that's coming out for all of you today. So please share it.
Well, in full transparency, we were discussing before we went live my symbol in the center of the background, and we didn't get fully into it, but now I do get it. And I find it interesting that I developed it in November and held it until this month and actually started using it last week. So that was actually 3 days before you sent out the transmission.
Mhm.
So that is
There you go.
almost too coincidental to be a coincidence that
Exactly.
we're on the same wavelength, because in
Yes.
the center is fire and water.
Correct, correct. That's why I was so excited when I saw it. I thought he couldn't possibly have known what I was talking about. Yes, the fire is the feminine, it's Lemuria. This is what the transmission is about, the uniting of the masculine, the water, the masculine, Atlantis. So Lemurian and Atlantis are coming back together, but they have to reunite with the diamond light divine being. That's the transmitter. It's a triangle, and there's the white, blue, and red on each disc that's transmitting together. And that's what's going into our heart chest, into our heart cavity, and will go out from our heart outwards. So that's why I love that symbol, Michael. It was very, very poignant when I saw it today. Perfect.
Yes, and I'm so glad that I followed my intuition and used it and
Yeah,
found it the way we did.
absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful.
So, Karen Openheart from Australia is asking, can Anne describe what these beings look like on Sirius and other extraterrestrials. I'm assuming she means that you've come across with.
I have seen some, yes. I'm seeing more as I'm becoming more open. So the beings that I see from Sirius, for me, they're a ball. It's like a pearl, upside down teardrop, but the skin, that's their face, upside down teardrop, beautiful eyes, big eyes, tiny little mouth. But their bodies have a glow, like an essence, a shimmer. It's, if you think of a silver pearl essence, when you see a silver pearl, it shimmers and it has, that's the skin that I see on these beings. I know there are actually multiple beings, different races that live in Sirius. So the ones that I'm connected to look like this one I'm telling you about. Very lean body. They do sometimes wear a blue suit, but that is like a tight blue suit. I know when I saw myself, I was wearing a blue. It's like it's got like an octagon, beehive fabric, and it's a protection. So when I'm in different environments, my body stays protected. But they're the beings that I see, bald-headed and the very beautiful essence. I have seen some of the cat beings as well. They're also in Sirius, but they're not from origin Sirius. I think it was more the Lyran. I've just recently started seeing the Pleiadian, not the Nordic ones, the Tagetan, the positive group. They've only started coming through to me recently. I mean, really recently, probably in the last month or so, and another group that have started to show themselves. The best people, I think, who I have connected with, oh gosh, there's so many. There's just so many, but I couldn't tell you all of them. I've connected with humanoids that are mixed with insect, so insect human. That was different for me because I had a natural recoiling. That's the fear. Our body has a natural recoiling action. It's a very beautiful presence in the face, but when they reached the hand out, it was like a nipper. So of course I recoil, but then I had to connect to my heart space and override that fear and go, hey, that's fine. You know, there's beautiful people or beautiful energy. So that's something I'm learning, is that humans will have a natural fear reaction sometimes to things that don't look how we're used to them. So just override that, come to your heart space. Oh yes, and I have had a reptilian, not a negative reptilian, one that actually brought me back after a visit that I had gone or been taken. And he was more like a lizard, smooth skin, black lizard features with a big yellow eyes, and very loving, was holding my hand because I asked to see him and he was holding my hand, and it was a very loving exchange. So that's so far who I've seen. There are more from the conference. I need to go back under the hypnosis to actually start to see who was there, because there was thousands of them. I hope that answers some of your questions. I think Alina Danan actually has a book that has the best group of beings that she's drawn and written about. So if you want a good reference, that I would say go and have a look at that for beings to learn about.
I agree. Her book is amazing, and the
Fantastic.
pictures.
Yes, absolutely. So that's my plug for Alina. Please go and get her book. It has a lot about alien races, and it's very, very helpful. I try and reference it if I experience anybody. So
Very nice. And Kitzla Hale has an interesting question. They're asking, how can they give you transmissions but not be allowed to interfere?
yeah, good question. That's actually a really good question. So they're not interfering with me because I have a consensual connection. So communicating with a dialogue is non-interference. They're not influencing me in any way. They're giving me information that I can share out. I have to accept it. I can say no, but I have made that connection and accepted. So it's consensual. So them sharing information, and remember, I'm coming from it's part of my contract here is to be in communication with these beings. So again, it's a contractual connection that I have with them. It just had to be the right time for me to start receiving the information. But other people can connect and receive information. When we talk about interference, it's like people say, well, why don't they come and help, like save us? Why don't they come and take out the bad guys? That's where the interference in human activities is limited. However, they have been very influential and instructive in removing some of the not so good presences that we have had here very recently. That is about them and their connection with those species, not with the human. So there has been a lot of assistance, and we have a lot of humans that are doing some stuff off planet that's pretty amazing, like in the secret space programs and that have been doing some amazing work in assisting as well, and that is they have agreed to that. It's a soul agreement. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Well, and I'd also like to add that when you have an agreement and you ask for help, they are allowed to help.
Correct.
So that's not interfering.
No.
It's they have to be asked. And so until we truly ask, nothing can be done. And they can do, like you were saying, as suggestions here and there, but they can't come down. Like you won't see their ships come down and park in a field and go, okay, here's how you can do this, this, or this, because we didn't ask them to.
No. But we will. We are. I think we've been asking collectively to see them, and they're responding to that. But also, we're evolving to be able to see them because there is a different dimensional frequency that we are now being able to see them when they've already been there for a long time. So we've been asking. We want to see you. We want to see you. We want to see you. So all this collective, invitation is going to bring them to see us and us to see them. So this is our invitation or our consent is saying we would like to be a part of you, or we would like to communicate. And then how we progress from there will be how we evolve diplomatically to connect with them. And that requires, as I said, a very heart-centered, fearless kind of approach when we connect, which is what we're going to be learning about.
I agree. And I feel like when we're asking, we have to be asking in our heart centers and be true and honest and authentic in what we're asking. Because if we just are like, I don't believe they're real, but come and show me you're real, they're not going to waste their energy and going, hey, look, here we are.
Yeah.
But if you genuinely are like, I feel like I'm ready to see, they'll show.
Correct. It's what we ask for. Oh, sorry. What we ask for, we will receive.
Right. It's like that old adage, be careful what you ask for, because what you're saying and what your intention is, if they're not in alignment, they're going to give you the intention, not the words, I feel.
Yeah. And they will do this very gently. They have to be very gentle with us. As I said, we're a very scared species. We're so full of fear that even if they wanted to come and drop the ships in our backyards, I mean, I have had that experience when I was little, but I mean, on a daily, regular basis, we're not ready. Like, we actually really are not ready for that in ourselves. We need to be. So they're going to come gently for us to get more comfortable and confident with these types of sightings, which will be the first thing. So we're going to see the ships more and more. We are going to be confused, unfortunately, because there is going to be some human ones that are going to be coming through to confuse us. So we'll learn to navigate the real from the imitation as we go along. But they are going to show us themselves to us in time.
So patience is a virtue and key.
Yes,
And
very much.
you mentioned seeing them as a kid
Mm-hmm.
growing up, that they would be in the backyard and everything. Do you feel like those visitations is what opened up and made you more receptive to do the work like the quantum healing and the theta healing? And my second part of that question is understanding now your connection with
Mm-hmm.
where you come from. Has it changed how your healing work is done, or is it all still the same?
Okay. Both really good questions. So I think it may have been a subconscious feeling that I was being opened already by those experiences. I don't feel a conscious awareness around that. And what I mean by that is that I don't have a, a story in my head that says because I had that experience, I ended up doing that. I think my mission was to do that anyway. And I believe those contacts were helping me to actually survive the trauma I was experiencing as a child so that I would be okay to meet my mission goals at some point. So whether or not that was still preparing me, it probably was. And also the beings change. I always used to think I was being taken by spirits because I didn't have a concept for ETs at the time. I remember seeing a small spacecraft, but I thought, no, they're meant to be big, so this is not anything. But the beings that would come to me in the beginning were cat, or they had a cat filter so that I wouldn't be scared. So I always thought I was being taken by a cat spirit to go off. And it wasn't till much later when they could take those filters off that I actually realized, oh, they're not cats, or it's not a spirit, it's some other dimensional being that I'm having experience with. But taking you back to the second part of the question, that I'm doing what I was meant to do, yes, and I believe that they helped me. Like, I believe that they came fully into my awareness in the 2014-15 to help me say, come on. And that was still subconscious. I believe that was still a subconscious urge to get me online so that I would be ready for this work, and recently to be more open to sharing more about the galactic stuff. So they have been more instrumental that I'm aware of consciously in the last 10 years. Yeah.
Okay, and Kitzla Hale has another interesting question for you.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking, there seems to be a rush. Do you know anything about that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing they're talking about the mass consciousness is starting to feel more pressured, and the human residence is whiting out a lot, which they're saying is supposed to be extremely rare and a sign the energies are very high.
I don't look. I'm not aware if there being a rush. I'm not sure if they want. If that person wants to elaborate a little bit more. I'm not aware of a rush. I think we feel that there is. It's moving faster because if we want to talk time, our time is moving faster. We're moving quicker. We're ascending. So it feels more like the movement is much, much faster than when I maybe started 2015. It was really slow. I understand that part of the energy moving quicker. I don't know if there's a rush. I've never experienced that, and I haven't been told that there's a rush. Everything has to evolve in its own time. We physically can't be rushed because we won't adjust quickly enough. Remember, because our consciousness is expanding and the body still has to catch up to that. So there's a lot going on. So I'm not sure about a rush. There may be somebody else who can talk to that better than I can, but it is a good question.
Okay, and I just want to hit a little bit about, because the human resonance has been fluctuating so much. Is there any insight that you have on that?
Human resonance,
The
you mean?
Schumann.
The Schumann, oh my God. That stuff, again, I'm not an expert on that. There's some really amazing people who just are onto this big time. But yes, we get blasted. I know personally, I get very physically, energetically blasted by the very, very high spikes. I know remember, we are all interconnected. That even is our celestial brothers and sisters are connected. We are all part of it. So they're all ascending. It's not just us. The Earth is ascending. And with that, she's connected to all the planets around her. So they're ascending. Everything's ascending. So there is the spiking. Again, I don't know too much about how that impacts us. I just know what I feel when I'm aware of what's going on. I go, oh my God, that's why I'm feeling so blasted at the moment. So we are getting blasted energetically. Again, I don't have any fear around all the solar flares, how that's going to, bring anything positive or negative. I just feel that we are all moving and changing and expanding together consciously. I mean, the sun is a conscious entity, a celestial being. So it is also responding to us as we are moving and changing. And that's my understanding of it anyway.
With that being said, as we're being blasted, do you have any advice or any techniques that you can share to lessen the impact that we get or the feeling of like pressure of it?
Grounding, yes. Grounding is number one. Immersing into bodies of water, like moving bodies of water, whether that's the ocean, river, anything that's moving, will also alleviate some of that. Meditation and resting. Resting is going to be your number one friend as well. There is not a lot that we can do if you're very, very sensitive to, again, as we ascend, we become more sensitive to our celestial brothers and sisters, but they're also not dictating to us. Like, they're doing their thing the way we're doing our thing. So remember, they're not dictating to us. They are just having their experience as well. It's just that we are sensitive more so now to what's happening because our awareness and our consciousness is expanding. So my advice would be grounding. Get into nature and ground it out. Any of that. Get into your bodies of water that are live water to just decompress and to and take time to rest. I find I have to rest a lot more than I used to, and I'm accepting of that at the moment. And also, just in case anybody resonates with this, I'm going to tell you this because this is really important. It's helped me understand. I put on a lot of weight really quickly in the last few years. Now, I asked about that. It's not a food thing. Because there's so much energy coming into the earth right now, the old paradigm bodies, the ones like me that didn't, started off 50 odd years ago, the old paradigm bodies can't handle a lot of that energy. So our bodies have to expand like a vessel to hold more energy. Especially when I do my QHHT work, that requires enormous amounts of energy, especially as a level 3. So my body had to expand to hold more of that higher energy coming into my physical form so I wouldn't burn out. I wouldn't burn out my system. I still have to do a lot of resting and cleansing and clearing and grounding out between clients. But I just thought I'd share that because it may make sense to somebody out there. I don't know why I thought of it, but that it can happen. And yes.
No.
And yes, high self says, do not worry, enjoy, but your body has to adapt and it will change. But because we came in with the old structure. So our old structure before the new millennial children have already changed. So they're not going to be affected as much. But we are. So.
No, I'm laughing, and I was like, I wanted to add that when I was in my 20s, I asked why the bodies seem to, of everybody that's doing energy work or energy healing, is getting, those are bigger than the people who are like sports and doing what we would call in metaphysics the surface type stuff. And they said exactly what you said. Their bodies are bigger to hold the energy.
Correct. It helps to transmute the energy as well. So there's more of us to transmute that energy out of our system. And again, I was reassured by my high self when I was under the hit that there was nothing to worry about physically and to be okay with the change in my body and just go, look, you've had skinny, now you're having this experience. It's okay. You're fine. Be okay with it. Accept it. Don't give yourself a hard time. Just understand you had to expand to hold the energy. So I'm expanding physically and consciously. So there you go.
Okay, and Kids Like Hell actually responded to explain what they were saying, and they said, all of a sudden, there are drones everywhere, disclosure is happening, and people have been researching this for decades. Hope this helps. Thanks for answering all my questions.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so the drones thing, all right. This is when I was talking about the confusion that's going to happen. So disclosure, look, we have been seeing crafts for hundreds of years, really, we have, probably longer. There have been reports and sightings for as long as I've been alive. I've remembered people reporting sightings. So it's not new. It's just that we're having, I know you're saying about the rush. Is that what you're talking about? So the rush in the disclosure? Right. So we knew that this was going to come online with our connection with our star families, for instance, that they were going to be coming out to show themselves and reveal themselves. What's happening is this drone stuff, there's interference from those that do not want us to connect and to believe that there is a benevolence presence out there that is coming in a loving way, benevolent way for us. This is like a distraction. So there is a rush for them here to prevent us from really having that beautiful organic evolution of understanding our neighbors. It's like distraction. They're rushing it because they're trying to come quick. We've got to stop people from, getting on board and seeing these beings. We want them to believe that they're negative. So that's unfortunately maybe why there's a rush in that experience. It's messy. That's all I can say. It's just been a little bit messy and confusing. And this is where the discernment is going to be very, very hard for people if they're not coming from the heart space. And that's not bagging anyone. It's just take your time, just understand what's happening is there's a little bit of distraction and a little bit of confusion around this. The disclosure part is going to happen. That's already happening. People are going to come out like myself because they've been told now is the time to share information. So it may feel rushed that all of a sudden we're being flooded by information that's suddenly coming out. But there's also the counter narrative that is coming to make it like it's not a good thing. And we just have to keep consistent with our dialogue and our narrative about what is happening and not the other stuff, the confusing stuff. So I hope that helps. But we're not rushing. They're not rushing. It's just the Earth people are rushing to confuse us. Yes, they're rushing to confuse us because they're suddenly scrambling to change the dialogue or to change the narrative. So they are rushing. But the real deal, not rushing. They've already said they were coming. This was already planned.
Well, we're actually approaching an hour and a half, so I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us and share with us.
Thank you. I've loved it. Thank you so much. Thank you for asking questions, and I hope we've all, you've learned something, or I've helped in some way bring some information to you. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, Michael. Thank you so much, and I hope you all get the heart energy that's coming from me, and also the transmitter. I'm going to do the triangle, the transmitter activator. So that's coming to you, if not already. So, but yes.
Well, thank you for that. And I know I put the links in the description, but do you want to share with everyone where they can find you if they have questions for you?
Absolutely. So you can find me. I have my website is Orion Metaphysical. So that's Orion, the star system, metaphysical.com.au. I've now put all my, leads to that one umbrella body. So you'll find my author page there as well with my books. And the QHHT information. If you want to follow me on Facebook, it's at our Ann M Basili, so you can find me with my name, or Orion Metaphysical again. I'm on the Facebook and Instagram. And the new page or the new group that I've started, which is the Intergalactic Relations, you are welcome to join that. If you're interested or intrigued in learning or sharing or just being a silent, watcher voyeur at the moment till you feel confident, please join in Intergalactic Relations. And then it has humans and extraterrestrial diplomacy. So I think Michael's in there, so you can just check in with him and he can share that, or you can find me and share it. I'll share it with you. So it's a small group at the moment. I will be hosting a little online get together at the end of the month, so stay tuned for that. That's a little free get together that we can maybe talk about these things. If people have questions, again, I'm not sure how that's going to evolve, because again, I was guided to start that group. So and the group online, and then the group that we'll meet together. So we'll see how that evolves. But I'm really excited. So thank you.
Well, we still have a few minutes. Do you want to take some time to share your books?
Sorry, to share the books? Yeah.
We still have a little bit of time, so
okay,
you
awesome.
can promote away.
Yes. So my healing book, which includes the Metaphysical Healing Meditations, it's called By Divine Instruction, Lessons in Metaphysical Healing. That is available on Amazon and probably other online retailers if you Google that. But generally, it's Amazon has that. It's in bookshops in Australia, or you can ask, I think, the bookshops to order that in. It's available through wholesalers. But yes, By Divine Instruction. So that was my big baby, or big baby, that I birthed in 2023. And I really hope that you have the chance to at least find out about that healing modality for yourself. It's my gift to humanity, to learn how to heal their own bodies, because I believe we all deserve that knowledge, and I believe that we had that knowledge once, and it's ours. So I brought it back to you. So please try and find it and help yourselves, help your family, and that. And then there's a children's book that I did. It's called Astara and Erifrey. It's hard to. Astara and Erifrey, Goddesses of the Realm and the Little Blue Planet. This was my children's version of the goddesses being called by Earth, SOS, to respond to help her. And she brought with her the galactic beings to come and, help change the consciousness of humans. But again, it's in children's terms, and to help the Earth heal. And that was my first published work that I brought out for children. It's very, very colourful. I have children around 3 years old that love it, and that all the way up. That's only available on Amazon. It's a second edition. I think Michael may have it in the bio, so you can check that out. And that's a lot of fun. And also, I think adults can learn something from it as well. So it was a little private move about the new Earth and how we can help. So yeah, that's a beautiful book. Lots of very colourful pictures in that as well for children. They love it.
Yes, thank you for that. And my last question of the night or day for you: what is a golden nugget or a piece of information that you would love to leave the audience with from your experiences?
I think the one thing that I always say to people is, please heal yourself. Please go and get help. Please try and release the baggage that you carry, because you have so much potential and wonderful offerings. We have been kept so small for so long, and we do not deserve that any longer. So the way to break free from that is to get some help and expand and keep learning and keep reading and keep growing, and just better every day. My thing every day is I want to be a better person every day, for myself, for others. That's the best thing I can give to you, is don't suffer. Don't spend your life suffering here. It's not worth it. I did that and I'm sure others have done that. And we can tell you on the other side of that rainbow is the truth. There's a beautiful world and it exists. And I want other people to join me in that experience and have the joy as well. That's my mission, to get people to find that joy. Let go of that past. It's horrible. It's not you. It's not you. You don't need it anymore. So let it go. Come and see me if you want, or have an online session. I'll help you. But yes, please, that's honestly my heartfelt, please do that. Give that yourself the gift.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll have you on again in the near future and as many times as you'd like to come on.
I'm open. I'm happy. This is a beautiful experience. Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who's come and watched and tuned in. I really appreciate you as well, and sending so much love to everybody out there. It's been a wonderful, wonderful morning for me here. So thank you.
Yes, thank you to the chat room and to those of you who are watching or will watch. And so I would like from my show to you all to say, have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, wonderful afternoon, wonderful morning. If you're asleep, wake up and watch this episode. Trust me, you're going to love it. And fill each day with love and light. The world needs it. And it's a little simple act. It even can take up to 2 seconds of your day, which I know we all can spare. So a little bit goes a long way. So thank you, everyone. Blessings to you all, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone, or as in Australia they'll say, good day.
G'day. G'day, mate.
Okay, good night, everyone.